Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Just Brief. Let's get straight into the storyline. Nick had a bad temper. Last year, he went to prison for hitting his boss after being denied a 12-month leave. A doctor warned him that his anger was serious. Without control, it would damage his work and isolate him from society. Few people stay close to someone who explodes at the smallest trigger. Nick was quick to fight, which raised the risk of hurting others. The doctor recommended breathing exercises whenever anger built up. Another option was to release tension by striking a table with a baseball bat instead of people.
How do you feel?
It was the first time Nick realized he had to pause, listen, and just breathe. After the appointment, Nick returned to his job as a delivery courier. His boss offered a week of overtime because another worker was on leave. Nick accepted since he needed more money for wedding savings. Later that day, he visited his father, a locksmith who lived alone. Nick lived with his girlfriend, Mel, in a modest apartment, and they were planning to marry soon. To show his commitment, Nick invited Mel to dinner and planned to give her a ring. As he prepared to propose, a waiter interrupted to offer dessert. Mel ordered the best dish to mark the occasion. The interruption made Nick nervous. He excused himself to the restroom to practice his words. By chance, the same waiter entered with a friend and gossiped about guests, including Mel. They did not know Nick was inside. When the waiter made a crude remark about her, Nick burst out of the stall and attacked him.
Fuck!
Nick landed back in prison for assaulting the waiter. He shared a cell with a senior inmate who gave steady advice. Long conversations with this mentor helped Nick see that uncontrolled anger only leads to regret. After 6 months in prison, Nick returned to daily life. His father's house, once tidy, was now cluttered, and his father looked worn down. Age and trembling hands had forced him to stop working as a locksmith. Nick grew tense when his father revealed that Mel had moved out because she could no longer afford the rent for their old apartment.
She got thrown out of the apartment. Seems she couldn't afford to pay the rent after you went in the slammer cell.
Using the address his father provided, Nick went to her new boarding house. Seeing Mel filled him with both relief and shame for failing to help during her struggle. While Mel spoke about the future of their relationship, a man named Chester entered. He was polite and already familiar with Mel since he owned the boarding house.
It's good to meet you. See you, pal.
After Chester left, Nick tried to continue the conversation about reconciliation, but Mel hesitated. His history and quick temper made her doubt any lasting change. Next, Nick visited his former boss to ask for his old delivery job. The request was denied immediately. The boss refused to rehire someone with a criminal record. Nick then reported to the police station for his routine parole check. To his surprise, the officer in charge was Chester. Besides being a landlord, Chester also supervised recently released parolees. Nick's parole required him to find work within 3 weeks. Chester offered to help and arranged a security guard position at a construction site.
Thanks, man.
You deserve a second chance, Nick. Mel does too.
Bob, the site supervisor, hired Nick right away based on Chester's recommendation. Pleased with the progress, Nick told Mel about the job to show he was serious about change. Mel agreed to meet at a cafe to discuss their future. She said she wanted a partner who could guide and support her and would consider taking him back if he proved he had reformed. Neither of them noticed that Chester had followed them. He already knew about their plan to reconcile and, harboring feelings for Mel, quietly refused to accept it. The next morning, Chester visited Mel and invited her to his daughter's birthday party on Sunday. Mel declined because she had already planned a date with Nick. Determined to keep them apart, Chester called Bob and asked him to schedule Nick for work on Sunday.
Just fucking do it.
Bob claimed the site was short on staff and told Nick to report. Not wanting to risk his new job, Nick canceled the date. Nick quickly called Mel to explain. She understood and asked if she could attend the party instead. The thought angered Nick.
What fucking party?
He grabbed a baseball bat and smashed a trash can outside to vent his frustration. On Sunday, Mel went to Chester's house. The event was nothing like a typical birthday party. Chester said he wanted a quiet gathering since his wife Jessica's mother had died the year before. After work, Nick arrived and found Mel with Chester. Chester explained that nothing inappropriate was happening. When little Jessica came back from the bathroom, the scene seemed harmless. Later that night, Chester was seen in a red light district with Jessica. She was not his daughter, but the child of Susan, a prostitute working there. Chester supervised several parolees, including Susan. Using his position as a police officer, he forced her to hand over money for supposed protection and allowed him to take Jessica whenever he wished. The next morning, Nick, now suspicious, followed Chester. Instead of heading to the police station, Chester drove to a rundown area on the edge of town to meet a man on parole. When the man refused to pay the monthly fee, Chester beat him brutally.
You're gonna pay me, okay?
Nick trailed Chester the entire day. By nightfall, he was still following when he accidentally blocked another driver. The loud honking almost exposed his presence. The next morning, Nick went to Chester's office. After what he had witnessed, he was certain Chester was a corrupt officer who used his job for personal gain. Nick warned him to stay away from Mel if he wanted silence. Cornered, Chester admitted his intentions. He said he wanted Mel and confirmed that Jessica was not his daughter. He also confessed to extorting monthly payments from the parolees under his supervision. Chester's aggression escalated. He pressed a gun to Nick's head and ordered him to leave. With their conflict exposed, Chester grew bolder. He damaged the water pipes in Mel's rented room to force her out, then offered her a place at his house. Nick refused and arranged for Mel to stay with his father instead. When that failed, Chester changed tactics. He ordered Bob to injure his own face and claimed that Nick had attacked him. Bob, still on parole, obeyed. Police soon arrived at Nick's father's house and arrested Nick for assaulting his former boss.
Nose is broken into pieces. He claims that you did it.
God.
Mel and Nick's father were stunned, convinced that Nick had fallen back into his old ways. While Nick was being taken to the station, Chester called Mel and invited her to stay at his house. With no reason to decline, she agreed. When Mel arrived, she asked about Jessica. Chester claimed the girl was at her aunt's home and said he was leaving to pick her up. Chester then went to Susan to take Jessica again. After enduring his abuse, Susan refused and threatened to report him. Chester lost control and killed Susan with a vacuum cleaner to take Jessica back. Back at the house, Jessica told Mel that Chester had murdered her mother, revealing the crime. Nick was released after his father posted bail. He went to Bob to find Chester. Afraid of another beating, Bob admitted Chester had forced him to lie and said Nick should check Susan's house. At the location, Nick encountered two men cleaning up Susan's body. A fight broke out, and he killed them both. He then found Susan dead in the bathroom. Moments later, Chester called from one of the men's phones. Nick said he had killed the two men and found Susan's body, warning Chester to bring Mel to the house at once. Before Chester could arrive, Nick and his father reached Chester's home and broke the lock. In a back storage room, they found Mel and Jessica. Nick's father freed Jessica, while Nick removed the handcuffs from Mel. Moments later, Chester entered the storage room, unaware of the trap. Nick ambushed him and attacked with the anger he had held back for months. He killed Chester with a screwdriver. Authorities arrived late, but secured the scene. Witness accounts confirmed Chester's crimes, and Nick was cleared of any charges and released from supervision. Later, Jessica joined a new household with Nick, Mel, and Nick's father. Someone bumped into Nick's father and began shouting. Nick stayed calm, apologized, and ended the confrontation. The moment showed that he had changed and no longer allowed anger to control his life.